The X7 continued to print overnight, so I could sleep well knowing parts were being manufactured hands-free and would be ready for action come tomorrow. And come tomorrow, the parts were looking really good thanks to Markforged's very own elite carbon fiber nylon. I was so happy with them, I even decided to give it a 5-star rating. I peeled off all the parts from the build platform and then got to work removing the supports from the drive wheel axles, the support beams, and the drive wheels. While in the groove, I also removed the supports from our resin parts, which flush cutters do well at removing at first, followed by a gentle tug thanks to the light touch support design implemented in preform. I like to then clean up any remaining support pips with the flush cutters. The 0.4mm clearance I modeled in was proving to be perfect for the mating parts, as demonstrated here by this connecting rod. To kick off the assembly, I installed the 8x16 by 5mm bearings into their bearing blocks, and then test fit those into the chassis, which was a perfect fit. Next, I installed the drive wheel axles into the drive wheels, which was a pretty tight fit and required a bit of fiddling, partly due to some flashing, or elephant's foot as we call it in the 3D printing world, and partly due to some stubborn support material that was left behind. Next, I installed the drive wheel and axle subassemblies into their respective bearings. Now, I didn't record this, but I actually had to reprint the drive wheel axles 2 other times to get their diameter just right so that it was a close fit with the ID of the bearings. Thankfully, parametric modeling and 3D printing make this effortless with 0 lead time, so I could test and iterate immediately and without any obstacles. I can now glue each wheel in place on the chassis, which held them fast so that each wheel could be spun to validate free range of motion. Next, I secured the connecting rod to the wheels after gluing the rod sections together. After drilling out the hole for the main rod to make it slide more easily around the crankshaft on drive wheel C, I positioned it on the wheel. Then I installed the lifting arm beam, which secures to the chassis using those hex nuts and M3x12 screws, along with the forward joining plate sandwiched in between. I then screwed on the forward crosshead guide support beam. I will say that in hindsight, I recommend screwing structural members like these into hex nuts rather than just into plastic to get a more secure fit. Next, I attached the crosshead guide and tested the motion of the crosshead within the channel, which moved nice and smooth. Again, 0.4mm clearance is great for nice, smooth fits between 3D printed parts. I then secured the main rod into the crosshead using an M3x8 screw. After testing the motion, everything looks and feels really good. The next part I needed was the cylinder, which I hadn't printed yet, so I got that part and its head plate set up in preform, being careful to avoid any internal supports inside the bores and channels, and sent it over for printing in Clear V5. Clear is always fun to watch print because you can really see what's going on inside the printer. I've never really been sure how Formlabs manages to UV cure this material without curing everything around it, but they do it and they do it well. After they were washed and cured, I removed the supports from the cylinder and head plate. In its current state, neither the pistons nor their shafts would fit, so I had to drill out the shaft openings in the cylinder and sand down the shafts until they slid through smoothly without too much slop to cause excessive amounts of compressed air to leak through. Back to the model, I installed the expansion link beam and reverser center beam plate to the chassis. Then I test fit the radius rod and its small die block pin within the expansion link, which didn't have any obstructions, so I added a small bit of CA glue using a toothpick to set the die block in place. I then mounted the expansion link to its beam using a tiny M2x6mm screw. Next, I secured the combination lever to the valve piston shaft and then attached the radius rod to the combination lever. To bring everything home, I first attached the union link to the crosshead and then secured it to the combination lever. The movement of all of these linkages is free enough to allow for smooth spinning motion. All that was left was to attach the eccentric rod to the expansion link, secure the lifting link to the radius rod, screw the M3x30 screw into the lifting arm so that it can pass through the lifting arm beam, and screw into the reverse arm, making sure that they are oriented 90 degrees to each other. And finally, secure the lifting arm to the lifting link. Testing the motion after each major step was helpful to ensure screws weren't too tight and all the clearances were proper. I then screwed the screw post into the chassis so that I could finalize the reversing system. As part of this, we have that piece that rides the screw and pulls everything forward and reverse thanks to the hex nut slot in the top. I dropped in the M3 hex nut and screwed it in place. I then attached the linkage that links it to the central reversing lever, attached the central reversing lever to its post on the chassis, and then screwed the reversing wishbone to the central reversing lever. Once the wishbone was attached to the reverse arm using one of the numerous M3x10mm screws on this build, the reversing mechanism was complete. Before I could finalize the cylinder's attachment to the chassis, I first had to secure the drive piston and valve piston to their respective shafts. Separating the pistons from their shafts is another type of step that's required to bring digital models into reality, because without it, this model would be impossible to assemble. Both pistons required quite a lot of sanding since I set their clearances at only 0.1 millimeters or 0.05 millimeters on either side. That's because I wanted full control on how loose the fit should be to minimize air leak and maximize smooth travel through the cylinder bores. Now, I didn't record any sanding, mostly because it's boring as shit to watch, so I'll just jump straight to assembling the drive piston and valve piston. After screwing the cylinder onto the chassis, which again, looking back, I would have preferred to screw this into hex nuts, I tested the travel. This is exactly why I opted for printing the cylinders in clear, because I wanted this motion to be visible. My last linkage assembly step was to secure the eccentric rod to the eccentric crank using a short M3x5 screw, and then glue the eccentric crank to the keyed shaft of drive wheel C, which doubles as a stop to prevent the main rod from slipping off.